Good morning, my name is Josh Perky, and this morning I'll be talking to you about Taco Bell's Twitter triumph. I'm going to break the presentation down into three parts. First, I'm going to talk about what the Twitter problem was, and for that you'll need a little bit of background about social media and in specific Twitter, what the application is. Secondly, we'll talk about Taco Bell's goals for improving their Twitter presence back in 2012. So this was about 3 years ago. And then this story does have a happy ending. I'll let you know what Taco Bell's success story was. So let's start off with Taco Bell's Twitter problem. Taco Bell uses social media a lot in order to promote their brand. What's social media? Let's talk about it real quick. What I mean by social media is internet-based websites and applications. Many people have a lot of experience with it, but others are not as acquainted with it. The idea of social media is to put people in touch with each other synchronously at the same time, in real time, or asynchronously, or whenever they get around to working with each other. The kick here is that social media connects networks of people very, very quickly at very, very great distances. So a message can spread around the world in just a matter of seconds. Content that is exchanged, media that's exchanged on social media includes text, images, audio, almost like listening to radio online, and of course video. Some of the popular platforms that you've probably heard of are Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. If you've not used these platforms, certainly you've heard about them in the news. Why does business care about social media? Well, back in 2012, Twitter had 230 million users. There were 230 million people in the world that used the Twitter application. Now, it pales in comparison to Facebook's mighty 901 million, but still, that's a lot of customers to reach out to through one application. And consider that social media and Twitter is possible to use on your cell phone. Now you are able to get your message directly into the hand of an individual customer at a moment's notice. Very, very powerful if you want to promote your brand, provide great customer service, get out an announcement about the company. Now you've got a little bit of a background on social media, let's talk about Twitter back in 2012. What is this Twitter you speak of? Twitter is a microblogging website. And when I say microblogging, I mean very, very short messages. You're publishing a text online that is no longer than 140 characters. That's called a tweet. A 140 character on Twitter is called a tweet. Here's a quick example. This is something that I put out there, a story that I was following for work. Twitter's problem was with followers, and it was twofold. They had fewer Twitter followers than their competition, and they had low engagement. They weren't getting their messages shared by their current Twitter followers. So let's talk about following, this concept of following in Twitter. When you choose to follow somebody on the Twitter application, that means you agree to receive their 140 character tweets directly. You want to keep up with everything that that company or that individual puts on the application. It's very easy to follow a company. Go to their profile on the application and click a button that says follow. Twitter had two goals for improving their use of Twitter back in 2012. First, they wanted to re-engage their existing followers. There was already a group of people that wanted to know about Taco Bell on Twitter and were receiving the messages, but they weren't doing anything with the messages. They weren't sharing them with their own networks. Remember, we talked about social media's power lies in connecting network upon network upon network. But they weren't doing anything with the messages, and that concerned the company. The second goal was they needed to increase the number of Twitter followers. They wanted more people. They wanted new customers that were going to see their messages on the platform. The strategy was very, very simple. Their triumph, and you're going to laugh when you hear about this, Taco Bell tweeted directly to other Twitter users who had greater than 10,000 followers. If you got 10,000 followers, that's quite an audience. The trick here was the other users were companies courting the same customers, but not competition. So they're not talking to McDonald's and Wendy's. They're talking to companies like Old Spice. I'll show you an example here in a second. The goal was to get them to respond back, get those companies to respond back. You scratch my back and I'll scratch yours. We'll promote each other. Here's an example with Old Spice. Just a fun little frivolous message to Old Spice mentioning the company. Old Spice writes them back and mentions Taco Bell. The campaign was a success. One tweet was retweeted over 3,000 times, so they re-engaged their current users, and they increased their number of Twitter followers up to 600,000, which was triple that of Burger King at the time. Thank you for your attention. You can read more about the case online.